What's going on, everybody, and welcome to Clint's Hot Props Lakeside UFC Baku edition. That's right, the show must go on from anywhere, anytime, making sure you've got the best props, the best props in the market to make some cash this week betting on the UFC. And frankly, guys, I love this card. We try to mix in a couple of long shots. We try to make sure we get stuff that's actually going to hit. I make sure to tell you if it's something that I think is a value play where you need to actually consider making a little bit smaller of a bet on, or if it's something I do think is a smash spot. So make sure you are tuning in for the entire show, and let's hit some of these props this week, all right? Do me a favor, get subscribed for more content like this. Hit that like button for me, and of course, let me know your favorite prop for this week's card. For some reason, it's got to be the shots. I'm having a real hard time saying prop for this show, so forgive me. I've been on a boat all morning doing shots, so this show might be a little bit looser than it usually is. Let's go ahead and get started. The very first prop that I want to talk to you guys about is my boy Azat Maxim. You know he's my favorite underdog on this entire card this week, you guys. Azat Maxim inside the distance over on BetOnline is plus 575. Now, I think we're going to get a better number than that probably once it comes over to the Americas, right? Once we get FanDuel and DraftKings up and running for this kind of a fight, I think Azat Maxim finishes this fight. I know the over is chalk. The over 2.5 is a decent chalky little price tag on it, but I firmly believe that Azat Maxim has the capability of winning this fight by knockout, and that's really more towards the way that I lean, right? But we can't underrate this guy's submissions. We can't underrate his front chokes and his use of his long limbs. This fight probably is a back-and-forth war and goes the distance, but I really am trying to time the downfall of Tagir Ulanbekov, and I do think the weight cut is a problem for him. We've seen him hurt and rocked in multiple times in the recent past. I think Azat's got the kind of power that can put him down for good, but we have to always give the opportunity of the club and sub. I think this could be a very, very violent fight, even though the numbers say otherwise, and I think this is really the coming out party for Azat Maxim. The next one I want to talk to you about, Jung Young Park takes on Ismail Nardiev, and again, it's one that looks like it really should just be going the distance, correct? But we're getting Jung Young Park by sub at plus 375, right? That's another one that hasn't opened up stateside yet. And I know you guys give me crap for that. When I film this show, I've got to work with what's available. So BetOnline is the only book open for like the early prelims. The DraftKings and FanDuels of the world, they have like half of the prelims and all of the main card. That's what I switch over to work off of. But these first couple fights, you'll have to forgive me. These are the only numbers I have available to quote for you guys. So I would bet that sub prop is probably plus 400, plus 450, something like that, once DraftKings and FanDuel gets opened. I love this guy's rear naked choke. I really feel like Ismail Nardiev is too small for this weight class. I think Jung Young Park is going to have no problem countering that pressure, the wrestling ability, and then his boxing is going to be something I think Nardiev is going to have a hard time with. So if we end up getting Nardiev hurt, if he makes a mistake in a transition, we have seen what happens, and Jung Young Park takes the back, and he has no issues sinking in those hooks and landing a rear naked choke. So I actually really kind of like him to go ahead and do that this week. The next fight, women's MMA, I've got a prop on almost every fight for you guys this week. Melissa Mullins and Daira Zalesniakova. I think this fight ends by knockout, you guys. I think this fight ends inside the distance, and I think it does win by knockout. So if you are a fan of playing those types of double board type things, I really don't. But either fighter to win by KO is plus 140. Again, stateside, that number might be a little bit better. I am no expert. That's not a market I usually tend to play in. Melissa Mullins by KO is plus 225. That's what happened the first time they fought. And if Daira hasn't patched up her grappling enough, that's exactly what will happen again this fight. But I do want to just make mention that Daira was lighting Mullins up on the feet, and I need to see Mullins making weight because she's missed weight her last 2 fights in a row. So if the UFC says, chick, if you lose the scale battle this week, you're moving up a weight class or you might potentially be cut. If she is forced to get all the way down to her proper weight on Friday, we could see a drained and depleted version of her. Daira was able to land on her significantly in the first fight. If she's patched up any of that takedown defense or that get-up game, she'll be able to do so in the rematch. And plus 650 on Daira Zalesniakova to win this fight by KO, TKO, or DQ. I think that's a fair price to take a flyer on a very, very violent women's MMA fighter, and I actually like that shot. I'm a little out of order here, and I do apologize for that. Hamdi Abdelwahab by decision is plus 100. I know his money line is like minus 155, minus 160, something like that right now. You probably don't need to play with this one, but if you're looking for the optimal outcome, I've got a real hard time seeing Hamdi finish this fight, and we know they will rob the fight for him if it's close, if it makes it to the cards. So I just want to throw that out there, that I think plus 100 on Hamdy to go ahead and get the decision win is probably an okay bet. And especially if you're looking to shave off some of that chalk and not lay a price on the guy, I haven't seen any evidence of him being able to land a submission or a knockout at this level to this point. So decision it is for me. I do want to talk about the other women's MMA fight real quick, Claudia Segula and Irina Alekseeva. I do like violence again in this women's MMA spot, and Alekseeva to win by submission is plus 250. I've always talked about how women's hips and judo throws and submissions are a true cheat code in women's MMA, and I think she's going to have success landing those in this fight this weekend. So if she's able to get the fight to the ground, we've seen her land crazy stuff like knee bars, and she's just big, she's powerful, she's mean. I think she wins by submission this week myself. Ground and pound obviously is possible, but the plus 250 is calling me. Next up, you guys, Nazim Sadikov to win by KO, TKO, or DQ, minus 105. Now we're over on the DraftKings side of life over here, so getting the correct numbers here for you. Minus 105. I think that's the move, right? He's a big favorite in this spot. I know Nicholas Mota's made improvements, but at the end of the day, Mota likes to throw down and brawl, and if he gets tagged or if he gets hurt, his baseline will be to bite down on the mouthpiece and throw back, and I think Nazim is the one who's going to get the better of those exchanges. I think the UFC is looking for Nazim to get a big win here as the hometown fighter, right? So I fully expect him to land a bomb, and he's got serious power. We know Mota doesn't have a great chin, regardless of this little run that he's been on in his last couple fights. I'm not buying it. I kind of like that as the outcome here. This one gets a little tricky, you guys. I want to talk about my boy Miktabek Orolbai and Tofik Musayev. Now, I think Musayev can have some very, very strong success early in this fight. He starts fast. He's got big, powerful hooks. We've seen that be effective against Miktabek Orolbai in just his last fight, actually. But what we've seen from my boy Orolbai is he does not give up, okay? He could have had his fight stopped multiple times last time out. He refused to. He fought his way back into it. He still lost a split decision, but he was this close to actually pulling off the outright comeback, upset in that spot. So he's taking on an older, long in the tooth type of fighter, a guy who's been fighting overseas and risen, and yes, he's going to be going into enemy territory, but he is the younger fighter, so I'm expecting improvements from him. He's also the grappler, which we know Tofik, if you can get to him grappling, he will struggle in that area. He's got good hips, but I can absolutely see him giving up late, and that's where I think we take a look at the Mikbek Orolbai round 2, round 3 props. Orolbai round 2 is plus 750. Orolbai round 3 is 11 to 1. Now, there's a very, very real chance that he does what he needs to do to grind out a decision victory in this fight. I want to see these guys face off. Orolbai is very big at 155 pounds. I need to see how he sizes up with Tofik, because if he's like massively towering over the guy, I think those takedowns probably will end up coming easier than I'm expecting, just because he will have the physical advantage. But if they're, sized up very well, or God forbid if Tofik is the bigger guy, then maybe the grappling is a bit more of a struggle. I need to see it with my own two eyes. But I know that Mikbek Orolbai can go ahead and get the grappling going, and if he does that, he's hell on wheels on the ground. He's got vicious ground and pound. He's got submissions. He'll be able to get on top of Tofik and make his life hell. So it maybe goes to decision, but I could see him not wanting to leave it in the hands of the judges after that split decision last time out and try to go ahead and put a stamp on it and get a finish. Orolbai round 2, round 3. That's the call. This one, I'm not so sure I love it, but Rizvan Kuniev by knockout plus 550. We've got to talk about it, right? I mentioned how Curtis Blaydes is the kind of fighter who really only loses by knockout to the best of the best. But this guy got suspended after his Dana White's Contender Series fight, after his PFL fight, for 5 different anabolic steroids. I am not kidding. So if he's got that kind of juice running through his veins, he probably hits hard enough to crack. And a guy like Curtis Blaydes, God love him, he's had a hard time. He's taken some big shots. He's been knocked out by Francis Ngannou twice. There's a very real possibility that his chin is dustier than most at heavyweight at this point. So if we're getting a fight where these two are going back and forth grappling, and especially if Curtis Blaydes ends up on his back, which is entirely possible from this mountain monster getting in there and trying to take him down, he could get tired, he could get worn down, and then that plus 550 for a KO, it's just worth a look, you guys. I'm not saying I'm going heavy or hard on it. I'm not even saying it's going to make my final card, but that's a decent sized number going against a guy that we know to be relatively crackable and chinny, and the UFC seems to like this Rizvan Kuniev kid for God knows what reason, considering he was given a no contest in the freaking PFL of all places. But I got a feeling, I don't have my tinfoil hat with me this week, you guys, I'm sorry, but I've got a feeling the UFC wants him to win and wants him to look good this week for some reason. Next up, Ignacio Bahamondes by decision. Plus 180. Isn't that a bit of a weird number? plus 180. You get this kid who's a finishing monster, round one savant, the guy who's just dicing everybody on his way to the top. And they're not even giving me plus 225 on a decision prop. He's taking on Rafael Fiziev. Now, Fiziev has shown he's nothing but durable. So you're getting a guy who can strike with you, a guy that is very difficult to take down, a guy who's got tons of experience, a guy who's been a high-level striker for his entire life. And they're saying, you know what, kid, we think that we need to lower this price tag here on this decision prop. That tells me everything I need to know. You guys have talked about this on the total takedown just a minute ago. I think this fight goes over. I think this fight goes to decision. I believe we'll see a level up here from Ignacio Bahamondes, where he proves to the UFC that these short, tanky boxer types are somebody he can actually handle. So I expect him to go the full 15 minutes. I expect him to win a decision. It'll be close. It'll be greasy. It'll be gritty. But I kind of like Ignacio to go ahead and win this thing by decision. If you think the upset is live, I kind of think the opposite is true. Both guys are very tough, very durable, and I think you could take a crack at Rafael Fiziev to win by decision if you like that side, which is plus 275. Another very nice number. See, that's where they're disrespecting a little bit, right? Because he's the underdog. He's supposed to lose this fight. If he comes out here and does the dang thing and he gets it done the way I think he does, plus 275 is a much more enticing price tag in my opinion. Main event time, you guys. Jamal Hill takes on Khalil Roundtree. And again, I apologize for not having my tinfoil hat for you. This is a 5-round main event. High stakes in the division. But I think this thing's going over. I think we're going to play a lot of overs here in this main event because Jamal Hill doesn't want to get knocked out and end up on the Jumbotron again, right? He's had his head cracked in not once but twice in his most recent fights. So I think we're going to see a Jamal Hill of old where he's cautiously aggressive, where he uses that reach, where he uses that jab, and he does tower over Khalil Roundtree. He's going to have a nice height and reach advantage here in the spot. So I think he's going to avoid the power, and he'll be able to get to work on the feet. Khalil Roundtree is somebody who's been very tough and very durable. He really only breaks and gets finished when somebody's taking him down and breaking him mentally before they break him physically, and that's not Jamal Hill's move. Jamal is never going to go out there and shoot a double leg and try to get this guy to the mat. So we're going to see a power striker coming forward looking for big, heavy bombs, and we're going to see a very long, rangy point fighter looking to keep that space and keep that distance. So it's odd to me that Jamal Hill, off of back-to-back losses, is getting plus 185 for his knockout prop when I think he's going to be trying to avoid that kill shot this week. I think he's going to go out there and do whatever it takes to get a win. If the kill shot opens itself, if it presents itself, that's fine. But he had 25 minutes with Glover Teixeira and he wasn't able to put the old man down. I think Khalil is definitely a step down for Jamal. However, I think Khalil is tough and durable enough and has improved enough that I think this fight will be very technical and will go long. So plus 550 on Jamal Hill to win by decision. No, that's not something that I'm like, oh, maybe, just a little taste. Like, I actually like this prop this week, you guys. I'm probably going to play all the overs in the main event this week because I think we see a longer fight than most are expecting. That is Clint's hot props. Hit the like button, get subscribed if you haven't already, please, and make sure you let me know what your favorite prop for UFC Baku is this week, you guys. I'm going to go catch some fish. I'm going to go do a couple shots, get my ass back out on that boat and work on this sunburn because we could use a little bit more, a little pasty white over here. So let's freaking roll. We'll see you tomorrow for the undefeated post-weigh-in show.